Hey, this is Matt Cox, and I wanted to do a video today. I haven't put out a video in a while, and I wanted to go ahead and do one and explain what the issue is. Um, Basically, this is so pathetic. It really is. Okay, I so I was dating this girl named Jess, right? And I basically about 3 weeks ago we broke up. Really liked this chick, and to be honest, it's pathetic how much I like the girl. And I basically about 3 weeks ago we broke up, and I've been, look, I've been understandably upset about it, and so it's just like my motivation is just gone, and I cannot seem to man up and get over it. And it's a and and we've talked a bunch of times since then, and she's come over, and it's just dragging out, and it's just agony. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put, like last week I think I posted one thing last week, and the week before that I posted two things, but that's only because I already had them done. Like, I mean, literally, I was like, I probably wouldn't have done anything the whole week. Like, my depression is just like overwhelming, and I keep telling myself, like, I keep giving myself these talks like, man up, get over it. You'll find somebody else. I've given myself all the talks, and it's not. I mean, I don't know. Look, so I'm going to put the video. I made a video one time about meeting her, and I'm going to put that video in here, right? Like, I'm going to start it right now, and then when it's over, I'm going to explain exactly what went wrong and what happened. And like, it's funny because I keep thinking, what did I do wrong? And she's telling me I didn't do anything wrong. And to be honest, I know I haven't done anything wrong. Like, I know it. I know I haven't. I mean, I really feel like I've done everything I could to make that relationship work. And it's just not. It's just, I don't know what the issue is. And it's just crushing. It's just crushing. And I wish I could figure it out. Anyway, here's the video. I probably mentioned this before, that basically I had so much time when I first got sentenced and locked up, and I really thought I was going to be getting out when I was like 60 years old. So what ended up happening was, I just kind of resigned myself to the fact that I was never going to be like dating again. I assumed I'd get out when I was 60, I'd be broke, I would be spending the next 5 or 10 years trying to plan for some kind of a retirement, and I just didn't think, that getting out and meeting anybody was an issue, or sorry, not an issue, but I didn't think getting out and meeting anyone was going to, I just didn't think it was going to happen. I just kind of put it out of my mind. So, by the time I actually got my sentence reduced and I realized, wow, I'm going to be out and I'm going to be like 49 years old, it was like, wow, well, maybe, like I did another video on like dating, and I was like, wow, maybe I might end up meeting somebody. So I remember all my buddies were like, of course, all these guys, when they get out, they're all like, bro, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get laid, I'm going to this, I'm going to that. But that's not, it's not really my style. And I was like, look, I'm going to meet somebody. Eventually I'll meet somebody. I'm going to take it slow and I'll figure it out and I'll meet somebody. And all the guys were like, well, what kind of chick do you like? And I remember thinking that, I wanted to date. I used to joke around all the time. I used to say, I want to find a chick that, she's got some tats, she's a little rough around the edges, probably been married a couple times, maybe she was a stripper at one point, the kind of chick that you can, that if you get out of line, she'll punch you in the arm, kind of like a tomboy, but sexy, so I just, that's kind of what what I remember I used to say, the kind of chick that'll call the cops on you, but she'll bail you out the next day. So I used to joke about that all the time. You know, but it is kind of a rough and tumble kind of girl that's kind of a tomboy, and it's kind of the kind of girl, you know, that I like. And what it ends up happening is I get out and I go to the halfway house. There's like 100 people there, and they've got, I don't know how many rooms they have. Maybe 10 or 11 rooms, maybe 12, because there's about 8 or 9 people per room. And so as soon as I get there, you know, look, the makeup is basically like prison. It's about 70%, black guys, or in this case, black guys and black chicks. And then you've got, you know, Spanish, probably 25-30% Spanish, and there's maybe 5 to 10 white guys at the most, you know, and you know, whatever, out of the 10, there was, you know, so let's say there's maybe four or five white chicks, maybe, actually I think there was only like 2 or 3 white chicks, and then there was 4 or 5 white guys. So as soon as I get there, I immediately see this chick sitting with another woman and a couple of guys, and I look over and I think, wow. I mean, she looks amazing. So, I mean, brown hair, about my height, I'm 5'6", and she says I'm 5'5", and she's 5'6" or 5'7". It's not true. We're both 5'6". So the next morning, I'm getting my breakfast, and I end up sitting at a table with her, and one of the women was named Tina, and she was locked up for like a Ponzi scheme or something. And then there was Jess, which was the chick with brown hair. Jess was locked up for a drug conspiracy. There was like a 40-man methamphetamine conspiracy, and she was I don't think she'll have a problem with me saying this. She was a drug addict that was selling drugs to pay for her habit. And there were a couple of guys there, a guy named Justin, and I forget, there's some other guy. Anyway, they instantly hated my guts. So, you know, what ends up happening is, and I don't think Jess liked me either. She told me when she first looked at me, she thought, wow, this guy, I think she didn't say sociopath, but she said, and she wasn't interested at all. That's what she says. So, and then of course, she was also, she'd met a girl in federal prison, and, you know, she's been married, and, you know, clearly she's dated guys, but she's also dated women. And so when she was locked up in federal prison, she ended up meeting somebody, and she basically was saying, hey, I've got a girlfriend, and the girlfriend had already gotten out, and that they basically were still seeing each other. They were dating. But the girlfriend lives in like Tennessee. We sit down, I talk to everybody, everybody's nice. I immediately get a job working at a gym, and within, let's say, I don't know, like 4 or 5, maybe less than, I'd say probably a week. But every morning I would end up eating with everybody. We would all wake up really early. You wake up at like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning. You're eating at like 6 or 7 in the morning. I end up eating with Jess, and the one chick that was there, her name is Tina, and she was always asking questions. So I end up talking, which I talk a lot anyway, but she certainly gave me the opportunity to talk. I end up talking to Tina, and Jess is there, and this goes on for, you know, every day for weeks. And I ended up I bought this cell phone. I bought it, my first phone was a really cheap Android. It like came with the plan, and it immediately got a virus, and it kept shutting off and freezing up. So I kept asking Jess, can you help me? So anyway, so we ended up talking a lot, and we joked around a lot. She used to joke with me all the time and say, you know, she's always joked that she was taller than me, and you know, we would just joke back and forth about different things. And we were both working out all the time, and so at some point, you know, we start texting back and forth. So now we're texting like constantly. And I remember we were joking around all the time, and this is gonna sound messed up, but she used to joke all the time, like tell me that I had little tiny T-Rex arms. I mean, just, oh, and she would just make fun of me and pick on me. And so, you know, so we're laughing and stuff, we're having fun. So I remember one point, Tina, or was it Tina or one of the guys said, like, they were asking about, you know, dating or something, like, oh, you work at a gym, you must see women all the time. And I said, yeah, you know, they're there, but I said, I don't really pay much attention. I mean, I'm not in a position to really date anybody. And I said, plus they're not really the kind of chicks that I like. And somebody goes, well, what kind of chicks do you like? And I said, I mean, chick with, some tats, kind of a tomboy kind of chick, kind of a, and so I kind of started describing, the kind of chick I liked. And somebody said, oh, what about Jess? You ought to date Jess, or something along those lines. And I looked at Jess, and she kind of glanced at me, and I said, Jess is about 20 pounds away from being dateable. And let me tell you something. She says I wasn't mad because I knew I was a little bit overweight. She says that she was furious. And I remember Tina was like, Jess is perfect. She's perfect. She was 20 pounds overweight. So she goes, so you think I should be like what? 120, what? 130, 135? And I went, yeah, 130, 135. I said, that's about what you should weigh. So we go back and forth, and we're laughing and joking with each other. We're texting all the time. And at some point, I'm in my room after count. So it's like 10 o'clock at night. They shut off the lights. And I was in a room there's 8 black guys and me. So the black guys are like constantly joking around with me and stuff. So they say, yo, Cox, what's up with that chick? That chick you always talking to? And I went, who? I go, Jess? And they go, yeah, the white girl with the brown hair. I said, with tats. And I was like, yeah. I said, Jess? I said, what about her? And they said, you hitting that or whatever they said. I said, nah, you guys. I said, first of all, I said, she's got a girlfriend. Secondly, she's like 30, 31 years old. I'm 49 years old. I mean, she's like 18 years younger than me. So they end up saying like, well, you ever text her? And I went, oh yeah, we text. They go, how many times a day you text her? I said, a lot, like 30, 40 times a day. I don't know. They go, you ever talk to her on the phone? I went, yeah. They said, who you were talking to the other night? And I said, I mean, that was Jess. And they were like, nah, bro, that girl, she likes you, bro. She likes you. And I went, nah, she don't like me. That's not, you don't know what you're talking about. So I start paying attention. I start thinking, I think she does like me. Like, she's texting me a lot. And she's saying stuff like, hey, when are you going to get here? What time do you get off? I'll wait and have dinner with you. And, so we're going back and forth. There's little tiny things. And she says, no, I mean, yeah, but you took that all out of context because I wasn't interested. It's just, stop, whatever. Anyway, which makes no sense at all because we're dating. So what happens is at some point, my phone, it ends up getting the virus keeps coming back. So I say to her, hey, can you help me with my phone? It's messed up again. And she goes, okay, come here. So I sit there and she's playing with it. And she goes, okay, well, what's your password? I go, it's cat69. And she goes, 69, huh? Like that. And I go, I said, no. I said, it's the date, it's the year of my birth. And she goes, oh, okay. And so she's playing with the phone and she goes, and I could see her calculating in her head. And she goes, you're 50? Because think about it, this was over a year ago. She goes, you're 50? And I went, no, I'm 49. I'll be 50 in a few months. Well, the look on her face was just like, wow. And I said, why? How old did you think I was? And she goes, I thought 40, maybe 45. She goes, I didn't think you were 50. And I go, well, I'm not 50, I'm 49. And I said, why? Is it an issue? And she goes, she got this look on her face. She goes, my dad's 55. And I just remember thinking, oh my God. And listen, after that, the next day, like the text like almost completely stopped. Like I text her and I'm like, hey, what's going on? How's your day? And she's like, fine. I'm like, hey, when are you going to be back from work? And she's like, late. I mean, just one word responses, or if she responds at all. So I knew at that point, okay, something's up, that she's behaving this way. She was thinking one way. And I didn't really think she was thinking that way, but clearly something happened. She was obviously texting me and hanging out with me and spending so much time with me because something's going through her mind, and now it's not. It takes like how long does it take? It takes about a week or so and she starts texting me again. And so now we're texting all the time. Well, what ends up happening is she ends up leaving. They send her to home confinement, and she lives in this little town outside Sarasota, Florida, and it's about an hour away from Tampa. Anyway, we texted periodically, and then I ended up leaving the halfway house, and then I ended up I did a podcast for Concrete. So I do this podcast and it starts like really, really getting a lot of hits. I think I got like 500,000 hits maybe in like the first month. And then like after like 2 months, it was like at 1 million. So one day she texts me and she says, you know, hey, what are you doing? You know, how's it going? And I said, oh, I'm doing good. I just did this podcast. You know, I got out of a halfway house. I just did this podcast. It's doing really well. And I sent her the podcast. So she watches the podcast. She comes back and she's like, you know, wow, that's great. That's so, you know, that I'm glad you're doing well. And I said, she said, so we text a little bit. One of the things that made me think she liked me was when we were texting back and forth, she sent me a picture one time and she looked great. And I went, wow, Jess, I said, have you lost weight? And she goes, yeah, I'm trying to get down to that 135 dateable. And you know, she says, I didn't say dateable. I said 135. And now she weighs like 130. So, you know, I think she said 135 dateable because I remember thinking, whoa, you've lost a bunch of weight. You're sending me pictures of yourself saying you're trying to get down to the weight that I told you was the weight that would make you basically dateable. Now, maybe it's an asshole thing to say, whatever. The point is that I was like, this chick definitely likes me. And I said, hey, do you want to go to dinner sometime? And she goes, yeah, we can go to dinner. Well, I mean, you know, as friends. And I came back and we were texting and I went, friends? I said, well, I don't want to go to dinner as friends. I've already got friends, so I don't need any more friends. And she came back, she goes, well, I'm seeing somebody. And I said, yeah, I understand, but you're seeing a girl that's in Tennessee. So, you know, do you want to go out on a date? And she goes, well, if it's a date, then no. I said, okay, don't worry about it. So maybe a week or two later, she comes back and she says, hey, what are you doing? How's it going? And I said, it's going great. And she said, you know, I've been thinking about you. And I went, well, that's great. We should go to dinner. And she goes, okay, we can go to dinner. She's as friends. And I went, listen, Jess, I don't want to go to dinner with you as a friend. She goes, well, why can't we be friends? I said, because there's nothing more useless than having a hot chick as a friend. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I said, absolutely not. I said, the entire time we would be seeing each other, I'd be thinking about how am I going to get you into bed? And you would be thinking that we were legitimately friends, and we're just not. I said, so if you want to be friends, I said, then forget it. And she goes, okay, well, then we're not going to go to dinner. I said, absolutely fine. A couple more weeks go by. She comes back and she says, and so I text her. I text her periodically, every couple of days. And she says, you know, hey, what's up? And so it comes back at some point, and she says, okay, we can go to dinner. She goes, let's just not label it. We'll just go and see what happens. And I said, okay, that's fine. So we set up a time, or we set up a day we're going to go, and she said, I'll call you when I get off work. Never calls me. Oh, never calls. I was so pissed. And I never text her. I never text her because I'm trying to get her to the point where she's making the moves, where she's asking those questions. I'm trying to get her, you know, when are we going to meet? Trying to get her to that point. So she's just not taking the bait. So nothing, I don't hear from her at all. So then maybe a couple days go by. I'm so mad. A couple days go by and she comes back and she says, hey, I'm so sorry. I know you're angry, but I worked late. You know, this broke down and this happened and I was there till 12 o'clock or whatever. Your phone still works. Okay, great. When do you want to go have dinner? She says, oh, you know, whatever, Tuesday or whatever. Tuesday comes and goes, nothing. Oh, so now I'm furious. So I said, look, you know, I think she came back and I said, she said, I know you're angry. I'm sorry. I forget what the excuse was this time. Listen, this goes on 3 times. I think she always says, no, it was twice. It was 3 times. 3 times because we were supposed to meet on a Saturday, and on the Saturday, her sister called her and asked her to watch her kids. And she's like, look, I had no choice. They're my nieces and nephews. My sister never asked me to do anything. I had to help her out. What am I supposed to do? Oh my God. I was so angry. So, but what am I, you know, I can't say I'm angry. I mean, I look like a dickhead, you know, then I'm not. So I was like, no, it's no problem. I totally understand. That's fine. She knew I was pissed. Anyway, what happens is maybe about 2 weeks later, 2-3 weeks later, we finally go to dinner. We end up going to dinner. We go to Bonefish Grill and we're supposed to meet. and she calls me and says, hey, look, I'm on my way. And I go, and I remember I pulled into like a CVS or something, like a pharmacy type thing, you know, like Eckerd's or something. I pull in there in the parking lot because I didn't want to get there first. So I'm sitting in the parking lot waiting for Jess to show up, and I'm talking to my friend Tammy, and Tammy's going, what are you doing, meeting this girl? She's got a drug problem. You know, what if she starts using drugs? And I was like, she's not going to use drugs. She went to prison. She went through the RDAP program. She's totally acceptant of all the things that she did, and she doesn't have a problem anymore. She's great. She's amazing, and I like her. And she said, you know, well, you said she's gay, she's dating some girl, you know, what are you doing? And I was like, look, what does it matter? I mean, she clearly likes guys too. And I said, and what does it matter? She's like, she told you she's not interested in you. And I said, yeah, you're right. I said, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to dinner. And when I go to dinner, I said, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to make her laugh. We're going to joke around. We're going to have fun. And at the end of the night, I'm going to kiss her. And I said, and if she kisses me, then I know. If she says, absolutely not, I told you I'm not interested, and I felt like she was interested. So if she says, hey, I'm not interested, I told you, then I know. Now I know. That's the catalyst. That's the defining moment where I say, okay, now I know, and we're good, and we're done. I don't, you know, that's it. I don't text you anymore. I'll stop thinking about you. I'll just move on. Anyway, I show up at the restaurant. She shows up. Keep in mind, I've only seen her in sweat clothes and like her maid's uniform, because she worked as a maid or a cleaning woman, whatever you want to call them, a cleaning woman at a hotel during the she worked at the halfway house. So she shows up and just looks amazing. Tight pants, long sleeve shirt, makeup. Never seen her with makeup. Hair's curled. I mean, just looks great. Gives me this long hug, and we go inside. We have a great time. We eat. It's great. Everything's wonderful. We're having a good time. And she's laughing at everything I say. And I'm not that funny. So I really, by the end of the night, by the end of dinner, I felt like, yeah, things are going good. So then we go to a movie, but we can't go to the movie because it's full. So it fills up, and we can't get tickets. So we go back to the car, and we're going to get in the car, and we get in the car, and she says, well, you want to go to another theater? You want to find another movie? What do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to sit in the car and make out all night. I go, what do you want to do? And she goes, well, and she kind of gives me this look, and I thought, oh, hell no. So we start making out. Listen, we made out for I'd say 2 or 3 hours. We made out so long, my lips were chapped for 3 days afterwards. It was that bad. And I mean, just like a couple of kids. And it was just, and I remember the whole time we're making out, we would stop every once in a while, and she'd go, I told myself I wasn't going to kiss you. I wasn't going to kiss you. So if you weren't interested in me, you've never been interested in me, then why were you telling yourself you weren't going to kiss me? You've clearly had this conversation with yourself. It's obviously been a topic of thought. So we start seeing each other, and we live so far away from each other. I remember we were like meeting at like hotel rooms and stuff. And I remember it was so funny because one time, because when you get to the halfway house, you typically, everybody would buy these backpacks. Everybody in the halfway house has a backpack. You buy them, they're like a cheap black backpack. So she had one. So we meet at a hotel one time. We get there, we both get out of our vehicles and go to walk to the hotel. We both have the black backpack, which was funny. We get to the hotel, we sit them down. When we start to unpack our stuff, we both pull out the same clear toiletry bag that we both bought at Coleman Prison. She was in the camp, and she bought this clear plastic bag, and I had the same bag, both of them from Coleman. So we both pull them out and sit them down. We look at each other, we just start laughing. So we just had a lot in common because we were both starting over, and it was just like a good place to be. And it was funny because like nobody else would know that. Like we have all these inside jokes. So we start seeing each other, but she's still seeing this girl in Tennessee, and she's kind of like on the fence, like, do I want to date this guy? What am I going to do? You know, to me, like, I'm all in. And I remember she's on the fence. She's going back and forth. Do I keep seeing him? And then, you know, look, there were times like she'd say, look, this isn't going to work out. We can't see each other. And I would say, you know, what are you talking about? You know, we'd go back and forth, and then we'd stop seeing each other for a few days, and then I'd stop texting. I'd start returning any text for like 3 days, and like 3 days later, she'd send me a text. She's like, look, I gotta see you, please. Can you? And then we'd meet, and then everything was great again for a month, and then it would be the same thing. So she would go back and forth, back and forth. Eventually, she ditches the girlfriend. We start seeing each other, and we end up having to tell our probation officers, right? So, because every month we have to fill out a report saying, hey, are you associating with felons? So we end up, you know, it's approaching, and I'm saying, let's just not mention it. And she's saying, no, absolutely, we have to mention it. We have to tell them. So we end up coordinating it. So we both contact our probation officers at the exact same time and tell them that we've been seeing each other and we want to keep seeing each other. And they're like, okay, you know, it basically the relationship just started and you did know each other before, so we're gonna let you see each other. The truth is they have a lot of control over you. And if they said you're not seeing each other, then you're not seeing each other. And I remember my probation officer was like, look, you're not moving in together right away. See how it goes, and then, you know, if you want to move in with her, let me know. So it's kind of the point where it's been, you know, whatever, 5-6 months or whatever it's been, maybe 6 months. So we've been seeing each other, and so I need to find a place to live. I have to get out of the place I'm staying right now, because the place I'm staying right now, it's cramped. Everything is just I'm packed in this place. So I would need to get a 1-bedroom apartment that I can just make the living room and dining room, basically set it up like a studio, an art studio, and like a YouTube studio. So I have to move. I have to get my own place. So I want to move in September. So I want to get a place in September. You know, we went back and forth about it. You know, she said, look, you know, she's balancing like work and school, and she's like, look, I'm not positive I can afford half the rent, and the places I want to live are, you know, they're not cheap, but I think it's important to have a decent place to live. I'm going to be there 24 hours a day. I almost never to leave the house unless I go to see my mother. So we find a couple of places, and I'm ready to move in and sign a lease, and she basically was like, look, we need to wait. And I said, no, absolutely not. You know, I want to move in as soon as possible. I need to move in just to continue doing what I'm doing. And so she said, look, she said, no, I think we should wait until November. I think we should wait till the end of October or the beginning of November, and that's when we'll know if I can continue to go to school full time and how much money I'll be able to make working part-time to full-time also. Like, I don't really know yet because I haven't started and I don't know what the shifts are. And so just give me a few more, you know, give me another month or so. And I said, absolutely not. I said, we are moving in September to our own place. And so basically we're waiting till November because, you know, she's basically wearing the pants of the family. I mean, she's basically running things, so I don't really have that much to say. But I did I did make a powerful argument, and I think that means something. So anyway, yeah, that's basically where I'm at. And you know what's funny about this is that literally I have done this video. This is the 4th time I've done it. I did it once on a boat in Key West, and I totally botched it. And then I did it again, and I did the video. I did a great job. Like, I really nailed it. And my mic wasn't on. And then I did it again about a week or so ago, and it was horrible. I just did a horrible job. I don't even know what went wrong. I don't know what happened. I missed all these stories, and I missed the whole thing, and I just screwed it up so bad. And then I said, you know what, I just have to do it and cut it up and just do it. So I'll do it again and try and do the best job I can. And this is probably the best job I can. And the reason I wanted to redo it really was because I was just like, Jess deserves me to explain the whole situation better than that. You know, she's amazing, and I'm blessed to be dating this chick. She's awesome. And she's like the only woman I think I've ever dated that genuinely could care less about money. Like, doesn't ever ask me for anything. She's constantly wanting to pay for dinner. She's constantly saying, no, I'll drive to you. You drove last time. Like, she really, the big problem with us moving in together is that her obsession with wanting to pay half of everything and carry her weight. And I keep saying, I will pay. It's going to be my apartment, so I will pay. You want to buy groceries, you buy groceries. And she's like, absolutely not. No, wait, just give me a little bit more time. I just think she's like a super strong chick, and we're great together and pick on each other constantly, mess with each other constantly. And I absolutely know that I'm in love with her. And the reason I know is because I genuinely care about what happens to her. Like, if it didn't work out, like if we broke up tomorrow, I'd be disappointed, but I'll tell you what, I would genuinely want the best for her because she deserves the best. And I just think like it would just totally have been worth it just to have been with her the 6 months that we've been dating. Totally worth it. It would totally be worth it. You know, after that whole video, like everything seemed great. She's coming over all the time. You know, she kept saying she wanted to move in, and then when it came time to move in, she was like, well, wait a minute, I'm not going to be able to move in because she was living at her father's and she was working full time, but she was about to start school, or she was starting school, and she's like, so, I'm starting school, and so we can't move in just yet because I won't be able to afford my half of the rent. And I was, and then after a little bit, I was like, well, look, here's what we'll do is I won't, the place I wanted to rent was pretty expensive. And so I said, look, I'll rent a little bit slightly lesser of a place, and I would less rent, and I'll pay the whole rent. You just have to pay what you're paying at your dad's right now. And then, so she started school and she was living at her dad's, and she was like, let's just wait. She said, because here's the problem is that she lived basically right next to where she works. And then she's 15 minutes away from school. So she's like, where you're moving, because I wanted to live at least kind of close to my mom's. And I said, okay, well then I'll move in between you and your dad, and it'll be 30 minutes to your work and 30 to school and 30 to my mom's, and that we'll split it. And then it became, and I said, this is an area that's perfect. And she came and she was like, well, she came back with, well, wait a minute. Well, I just think that we should wait because, my truck is really messed up, and I don't want to have to, that's a lot. That's like an hour and a half worth of driving, like there, back, and to work and back. And it was like, okay, well, I mean, that doesn't really make sense. Your truck's a piece of garbage anyway. You're fixing it anyway. But then I was like, I don't want to be pushy, because she was the one who was saying she wanted to move in, and now she was backpedaling. And I felt like something was wrong. Like I definitely knew something was wrong. But I was like, I talked to my friend Stacy, and she was like, look, don't push her. You like her, everything's great, there's nothing wrong, you guys are doing well, she's just taking it slow. You're a rush-in kind of person, you rush into things and don't think them through. You need to let her, she's being cautious, it's fine, she's in love with you, you guys are in love, you're great together, be patient. So I was trying to be patient. I moved into an apartment complex that was between where my mom is. I go to see my mom like 3-4 times a week. So where my mother is and where Jess works and goes to school. I thought that was a good combination. And so then there was a few weeks where she came over maybe once a week. And then I went over there and I was like, wow, we're seeing each other less now. And I said, we're seeing each other less now and I'm closer. And she was like, yeah, but I just started school. And granted, she works and goes to school a lot. She goes to school 30 hours a week. She works another 20 to 30 hours a week. She's bringing home very little money. So, I mean, I get it. And her vehicle is falling apart. So then I got to the point where I was like, look, I'll pitch in on a new vehicle. If you want to get a new vehicle, I'll get you, we'll get you a new vehicle. And I can swing that. And, but, then she was, no. What's happening is we're approaching when she's going to be finished with school. And I've had the conversation where it's like, look, when you're done with school, you need to move in. I mean, if you don't move in, then something's clearly wrong. She's like, nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong. Like she keeps going on and on about this, that there's nothing wrong. Clearly there's something wrong. Well, we've had those weeks where I'm texting her and she's like barely texting back. And she gets busy. She's like, I'm sorry, I was in class, I got busy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, or work was crazy. And then she'll text me and say, I love you so much, and on and on and on, and just how wonderful everything is and how much she loves me. And she's going to, as soon as I get home, I'm going to text you and I'm going to call you. And then she texts me when she gets home and says, I'm getting in the shower, and then she never calls. Then the next morning she wakes up and says, baby, I'm sorry, I fell asleep And here's the thing, look, it's not another guy. There's no way she could possibly have time to see anybody else. It's not that, because of course that was something I was thinking about. And I kind of thought about it, but honestly, you get to know somebody and it's not that. She's never lied. Like she's not lying to me about anything. This went back and forth. There would be 2 or 3 weeks, which were amazing. Where it's like, wow, this girl is hooked. Like I got this chick. She's totally in love. I 100% believe this is it. It's forever. And then there would be a week or so in between where it was off. And I felt like things were, you're in a relationship and there are ebbs and flows, right? So it comes and it goes, and sometimes it's stronger and sometimes it's a little weaker, and that just happens. And it had been a year. It's been over a year. What ended up happening was, there's a week where really she was distant. And then, and I like one day I just barely text her at all. Like I was just answering her texts. And then the next day we went almost the whole day without sending any texts, calls, nothing. And then at the end of the day, she's like, what's wrong? And I said, I'm just tired of pursuing you. Like if you're busy and, you're not feeling it right now, that's fine. I don't want to be that guy that's always bugging you. And she's like, she came back, you're not bugging me. I love you texting me. I love the fact that you check in with me and ask me how I'm doing, that, so whatever. And it was just like, but it does, it gets old. And then like about 3 weeks ago, she had gone to see her daughter and she was coming home from seeing her daughter. And she said, can I stop by your apartment? I'm like, sure, of course. So she stopped by my apartment and she goes, I said, do you want to talk? And she was like, well, let's not talk yet. I said, okay. I said, well, let's go get something to eat. So we went to get something to eat, and we were in the restaurant. We sat down and we ordered food. And as soon as we ordered, the waitress walked off, and I looked at her and I said, so what do you want to talk about? And Jess went, well, she goes, I don't know, maybe I don't feel like we should talk here. And I looked at her and I said, what am I going to throw a scene? I said, are you breaking up with me or something? And I sat there and she went, yeah. She says, yeah, I am. And listen, you want to talk about feeling like you got kicked in the gut. I just went, what? I was like, well, what are you talking about? And I said, I thought things were going fine. And she goes, sometimes they're fine, and sometimes I feel like maybe this isn't it. And I went, what are you talking about? You're always talking about how you love me and you want to be with me forever and you want to move in and you want to, we have, how amazing everything is and how great you feel and how great I make you feel. And, all the things that women say that make you feel amazing and secure and confident in the relationship. I was hearing all of that. And she goes, it's just sometimes I'll have a few days or a week or so where I just feel like this isn't it. It's not going to last. I don't think that I'm going to be with him forever. I don't feel like this is forever. She goes, and then I have a few weeks where it's amazing and I can't wait to see you and I think about you all the time. And she said, but she said, if it's like that now, she said, I feel like 2 years from now, would I rather break up now or in 2 years from now break up? when I can't, when it's obvious it's not working. And I just went, I was like, it was like clearly she'd thought it through. And I went, I said, oh, okay. And the waitress came by and I go, hey, I need to get my check and I need you to box up everything. And the waitress said, she was like, is everything okay? I said, everything is okay. I said, we're just wrapping this up and I'd like to get out of here as quickly as possible. And so she walked off and Jess goes, you don't want to talk about it? I was like, well, there's nothing else to talk about. What's there to talk about? It's over. You said it's over. You don't see yourself with me in 2 years. I said, I think that's a mistake, but whatever. I mean, at this point, I'm just like, I'm so in shock. And so, so the waitress comes, I pay the bill, we get in the car, we're driving back. She goes, don't you want to talk? I said, there's nothing to say. I got nothing to say. And listen, I'm a talker. So I was so just shocked. So we get back to my apartment, we come inside, I pull her food out, or I pull my food out, I give her the bag. I said, look, if you got anything you need to get, grab it. And she went, you don't want to talk about this? And she starts crying. Tears start coming down and she's like upset. And she's like, I'm sorry. It's not you. She goes, you don't understand. She goes, it's not you. And I said, oh, I have no doubt it's not me. I said, trust me, without a doubt. I said, I guarantee you, I said, for sure, it is absolutely not me. I said, there's something not right. You don't go on and on with someone like this and everything that we've been through to get to this point and then just say, oh yeah, I'm having a bad day. I don't think we should be together. Bro, I mean, I can't even tell you how absolutely devastated I was. I mean, like, it's been about a week or two where I'm just now at that point where I can breathe in, where it's that kind of shock and pain where you take a deep, deep breath and you can never really fill up your lungs. I just can't seem to get enough oxygen and I'm just in shock and I'm spiraling down in depression. And I like the videos and stuff. I have 2 or 3 videos that I have planned in my head. I just can't seem to get the motivation to do it. And I'm just now starting to kind of feel a little bit better. And, look, like we've talked, she's come over. And this is the thing, like, at one point we were talking and she was trying to explain what the issue was and what the issues were. And I was like, I started to kind of go, well, I mean, yeah, but everybody, you got to understand that. And then I kind of stopped and went, what am I doing? Like, I shouldn't have to talk some chick into dating me. Like, if you don't know that I'm, after a year, you don't know that I'm it, that I'm the guy you want to be with, you're never going to know. You're not going to know. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I'm sick to my stomach over it. So I get some coffee. This is the coffee is what's keeping me going. I have like 3 paintings that I'm supposed to do. And I mean, I've been just dragging and dragging. I'm barely responding to emails. I have books I'm supposed to be mailing out. I have calls that I'm supposed to make. I have podcasts that I'm supposed to do, that I'm supposed to be like guests on. And I have no motivation to do anything. I'm just starting to feel better and do some stuff. And don't say anything in the comments negative about this chick. Do not say anything derogatory at all. I don't want to hear it. I care about her. I want her to find somebody. I want her to be happy. I'm sorry it's not me. I want it to be me. It's not me. And what's funny is, like, I actually have gone on a couple of dates, which is, so the other day I actually mentioned that to her. We were talking and she had come over and we were here and we were talking and I was like, I said, well, you gotta know that I'm gonna start dating other people. And she's like, I know, and if you do, and that's fine. I said, I mean, to be honest, I said, I've already been on a couple dates. And so she just went, she just like stepped back and went, "What?" She goes, "It's been 2 weeks." And I was like, "It has not been. It's been like 3 weeks. And it's going on 4 weeks. On Sunday, it'll be 4 weeks." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Of course I'm going to start dating." She's like, "You couldn't wait? And I was like, "What are you doing?" I go, "What are you doing? You broke up with me. It's over. You broke up with me. You don't have the right." And she was just livid about it, which really honestly cracked me up and made me feel way better that she was upset about it, because I really felt like she was being extremely cold about the whole situation. I really need to just kind of man up and say, okay, this is what happened. This is the way it is, and it's over, and start dating other women, and and just find somebody else that really does want like a long-term relationship, and really somebody that can see me and say, okay, look, this is what this guy's been through, and this is who he is now, and that's who he is, and it's okay, and he's doing everything he can and everything in his power to basically turn over a new leaf. That's the person that I need to be with, and that's the person I need to find. And I don't know where I find it. I mean, let's face it, I've been kicked off of pretty much every dating website. I just went back on Bumble, and so I was on it for like a week, and then I connected it to Facebook, and it erased my account. Probably because the information I put on Bumble was different than what my Facebook information was. Like I put Matthew, but I put other things that were different so it wouldn't realize it had kicked me off before, and bam, it kicked me off again. So I mean, I don't know what to do at this point. I'm in a bad position. I mean, that's just where I'm at, and it's like, look, just subscribe, hit the like button, share the video. I don't know that you need to share the video. I don't know. I need to put something up. I wanted to let people know why I haven't posted anything in the last week or so. I posted something last week. I typically post twice a week. I didn't post anything last week and I posted one thing last week and haven't posted anything this week. Look, the only reason I posted anything the 2 weeks prior to that was because I already had them made. I'm going to try and man up, and I'm going to try and move forward and figure the whole thing out, and we'll see what happens. See ya.